Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video I'm going to talk about a Saturn transit in Pisces and its impact on Taurus rising. Anybody with a Taurus rising, Taurus Ascendant, Taurus Lagna or Moon in Taurus, this video is applicable for all of them. So this transit happened on the 29th of March 2025. So before I talk about, this is going to be an excellent 2.5 years Taurus people. So I request you to watch this video till the end. And also, I've shared my contact details and I've shared my email address in the description. If anybody wants to connect with me over a one-to-one chat, they can connect with me on WhatsApp or on my email. Now, before I talk about the coming 2.5 years, let me just give you a quick overview on like what happened 2.5 years prior to 29th of March 2025. So Saturn, is a Yoga-karak planet for Taurus Ascendant because Saturn lords 9th house as well as your 10th house. So 9th house is the Kon and 10th house is the Kendra. So Saturn becomes a very Yoga-karak planet. So Saturn was transiting in your 10th house of profession. So in terms of profession, yes, you would have seen growth, you would have seen expansion, you would have seen stability in terms of your profession. However, if you look at the Saturn aspects, Saturn third aspect was on the house of Mars, and that was a debilitated aspect. So 12th house, all the attributes related to your 12th house, were negatively impacted, which means it could have increase in expenses, increase in medical expenditures, increase in isolation. So everything which is related to your 12th house, you would have seen a negative impact. Now Saturn next aspect was on your 4th house, which is again the house of Sun. And Saturn doesn't have, Saturn has a, enmity with Mars as well as Sun, which means, 4th house is the house for your home where you live. It is the house of your vehicles. It is the house of your emotional health. It is the house of your mother. So you would have seen challenges in all these areas. Could be like, a repair of home. Okay, could be repair of vehicle. Could be the health of your mother, or maybe your emotional health was not good at your home. So now Saturn 10th aspect was on your 7th house. Again, that house belongs to Mars, which means 7th house is the house of your marriage. It is the house of your business partners. So Saturn karmic aspect on your 7th house means because you were working very hard, it would have impacted your marriage. You would have faced, issues in your marriage, faced issues with the health of your spouse. So in terms of profession, yes, it was excellent, but in terms of the other areas, aspects where Saturn was aspecting, those were not good. Now let's talk about, what is happening after 2.5 years, so from 29th of March. So this transit is going to be excellent, guys. Now let me explain you how. So as I said, Saturn lords your 9th house as well as your 10th house. 9th house is the house of your luck, your destiny. And 10th house is the house of your profession. So the lord of, 9th and 10th is now transiting in your 11th house of your gains. And 11th house is the, house that belongs to Jupiter. So Saturn have neutral relations with Jupiter. And 11th house is an excellent position for a planet like Saturn to be. So what you would see is that 11th house is the house of your network, your connections, your professional network, your social network. Okay, 11th house is the house of your gains. 11th house is the house of your some long-term desires. So you would see in the next 2.5 years, you would make very meaningful connections with people. Those meaningful business connections, meaningful social connections, and you would gain through that connections throughout your life. Okay, if you have been manifesting for something, some long-term desire you have in the next 2.5 years, that desire could be some buying a house, bigger car, or anything which is a long-term desire. You would see that desire would get fulfilled in the next 2.5 years. So beautiful times in terms of your network, in terms of your gains, in terms of your long-term desire. Now let's talk about the aspects of Saturn. So Saturn third aspect, would be on your ascendant, and the ruler of your ascendant is Venus. So Saturn has excellent relations with Venus. Venus is, and Saturn are excellent friends. So Saturn will do all the best in order to make your ascendant powerful. So what is an ascendant? Ascendant is your physical existence in the world. Your ascendant is how the world perceives you, how what your image in the world. Your ascendant is everything about you from your head till the toe. So you would see with this particular transit of Saturn, Saturn would completely protect your ascendant, which means complete peace of mind. Your communication would improve, your health would improve. There would be more confidence. You would develop a lot of virtues like hard work, discipline. Your image will improve, your professional image will improve. So everything, your well-being, your state of mind, your will to win, everything, your health, everything related to your, ascendant, you would see massive expansion, massive improvement. So, and your good looks will improve because it's a beautiful aspect of Saturn on your ascendant. So, in terms of your personality, you would be there would be a lot of charisma. So you would acquire a lot of character traits like Saturn of, virtues like discipline, hard work, everything. So in terms of your ascendant, it is completely protected by Saturn. Now let's talk about the Saturn's seventh aspect on your fifth house. Again, that, fifth house belongs to Saturn's friends, Mercury. So Saturn will do everything to protect the fifth house. So what is the fifth house for? Fifth house is the house of your romantic relationships. Fifth house is the house of your children. Fifth house is the house of speculation. Fifth house is the house of education. So you would see, fifth house is the house of your startups. You would see all the attributes which are related to fifth house. You would see expansion in that area, which means, your romantic relationships will become more steadier. There would be more trust. Your relationship with your romantic partner will strengthen in the next 2.5 years with this transit. Saturn is a very traditional planet. So Saturn, requires a lot of discipline. So there is a very high probability that your relationship, your romantic relationship, will get converted into a marriage. That is also, seen. Now, your relationship with your children will improve because Saturn is sitting in the house of gains. So money-wise, it's an excellent time for you. So each parent, wants to do the best for their kids. So this is the time when, you would be able to spend time with your kids. You would be able to provide for them, as much as a parent wants, as much as you want. That is also seen. This is the house of speculation also, which means, you would be following a very disciplined approach towards investing. And you would be creating some good, portfolio around cryptocurrency, around, stock market. That is also seen from here. So, this is also the house of creativity. So you would get a lot of creative ideas, lot of creative expansion you would see in this area. Now, so beautiful time in terms of fifth house and all the aspects, if you have been, working for a startup and now during this, after 29th of March, you would see there's a lot of action around your startup idea. So I'm saying all the attributes that are related to fifth house. It's a very important house. It is completely protected by Saturn. Now the Saturn, 10th aspect would be on your 8th house. So this is again a beautiful aspect because it's an aspect on a malefic planet is aspecting a malefic house. 8th house is a malefic house. So what are the areas 8th house represents? 8th house is the house of exploration. 8th house is the house of research. It is, about longevity. It is about, use like transformation. So, first thing that you would see is, there would be a lot of transformation in you. Physical transformation, where you would be, going towards transforming towards the better version of yourself. That's first. Now you would pick up some research, in like, because Saturn is the lord of your 10th house also. So if you pick up some research related to your work, related to your profession, okay, related to your business, you would see in the next 2.5 years, you would reach massive heights in terms of intelligence, in terms of, knowing a lot of things which others don't know, your competitors don't know. So you would get a lot of help in terms of research. This is the house. If you've been, your health would improve. If you have been struggling with some kind of a disease, a very serious disease, because this is also the house of longevity. Saturn will give you longevity here. So if you've been struggling with some kind of a disease, some kind of a severe health condition, you would be able to, get out of that. If you've been struggling with some kind of addiction, maybe you're smoking, maybe drinking, maybe food, maybe any form of addiction, you would be able to quit that. So beautiful, time for transformation, for good, for becoming a better version of yourself. So that's mostly what I wanted to share, guys. Saturn has a quality that, it expands in the house where it sits or it transits, wherein, it creates problems in the house where it aspects. So, in the next 2.5 years, you people are very, very, very lucky, because, one, the Saturn transit is in an excellent house, and Saturn aspects are all on the friendly houses. So, lot of areas of your life, you would see expansion, and those are very important areas, about your children, about your health, about your relationships, about your own personal self. So, I mean, beautiful times, guys. Make the best out of the next 2.5 years. Excellent times for you. Now, second thing is about, who gets the impact. So, with Taurus people, passing through with Saturn times, passing through with Saturn Mahadasha and Saturn Antardasha, you would see all the impact what I'm talking. Okay. However, with Taurus people who are passing through with some other Mahadasha, and the very poor Mahadasha, and the position of Saturn in the natal chart is not very bad, then it's a different case. I'm sorry, position of Saturn in the natal chart is not very good, and passing through some bad Mahadasha, then it's a different case. But otherwise, Taurus people who are, not even passing with Saturn Mahadasha, they would also see this impact. Why? Because, Saturn is a planet that transits after every 2.5 years. Okay, and it's like long duration of time. So, all Taurus people would see these impacts. The only exception if you are passing through with a very poor Mahadasha. So that's all what I wanted to share, guys, in this video. If you've liked this video, I would request you to press the subscription, to press the bell notification. And Taurus people, also I would request you to write a comment, because your comment validates my effort. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks a lot for your time, and you have a great evening. Thank you.